Hello everyone, and welcome back to my chatty, sassy channel here on YouTube, where we talk about all things luxury, be it luxury fashion, luxury travel, or life's luxuries in general. And today I'm going to be doing a video talking about the most used items in my luxury collection for 2025. I will also be doing a video on my least used bags in my collection, so if that interests you, make sure to be subscribed down below and hit that bell for notifications. With that, let's get into the video and start out with jewelry. So starting out with jewelry, by far my most used piece of jewelry this year, because it has never ever left my wrist since it was put on my wrist in August of 2024, is my Cartier love bracelet here. But if we don't count that bracelet, then my other most used bracelet is my Petite Helena that my father-in-law got me last year for Christmas. I love wearing these two together. This one I will have worn 365 times, but the Petite Helena had a very strong showing as well. While we're on this hand, I want to talk about my most used ring, which is actually my crossover ring. I wore my crossover ring 39 times this year. It just barely beat out my gold Renaissance ring, which I wore 37 times this year. And then the other wrist is going to be my watch hand, and so on that, my most used was my Tank watch. I wore it 103 times this year. Then when it comes to earrings, another piece from the Helena collection that was a most used is going to be my Petite Helena hoops. I wore them 31 times this year, making them my most worn earrings. Now moving on to bags, and in a video that I did recently where I talked about my best and worst purchases of 2025, I did mention that this was my most used bag, and that is my Chanel mini reissue in green patent leather. I love and adore this bag. I'm so glad that my husband got it for me. I carried it 31 times this year, but I also want to touch on the other two most carried bags in my collection. The second most carried bag ended up being my Nano Mosaic from Strathberry and Vanilla. I've carried it 23 times and actually surprised myself by carrying it quite a bit this winter. And the real shocker is that the bag that has definitely been my most used bag for the past 2 years, the YSL camera bag, was beat out by both of these. It came in at number 3 with 21 uses this year. Now I will say that this year has been a bit of an odd year for me in using all of my luxury things because of the fact that the first 3 months of the year, January through March, I was so insanely busy with work and with tax season that I just really didn't leave my house at all. And then May, June, and July, I was so sick with pregnancy, I really didn't leave my house at all. So for about 6 months out of this year, I was really not wearing much jewelry. I was not carrying many bags, not wearing many shoes. I just stayed home, and so that drastically shifted my usage. When it comes to my most used SLGs though, this to me is really interesting because it says on how many times that I actually carried a bag, because anytime I'm carrying a bag, I was going to have at least one of these with me, and the most used ended up being the YSL card holder at 140 uses, and the second most used was my special order Bastia, which had 139 uses. There was one time where I just took my card holder out with me, and so that's why it beat out the Bastia, but that tells me that I carried bags 139 days out of the year. And so that really tells you how much that I left the house and why some of the other categories that I'm going to talk about next are going to be lower usage for my most used items. The most used accessory of the year was my YSL baseball cap. I wore it 10 times, and I'm really glad that I got this baseball cap. I absolutely love it, and a couple of you guys have actually gotten it after seeing it on my channel. I did wear my Gucci baseball cap a couple of times, but not that much, and honestly I've been thinking about letting both my Gucci baseball cap and my Gucci belt go at this point. My most used piece of clothing, and this is pretty sad that the most used piece of clothing, was only worn 4 times, and that is my Hermes jacket. So this is actually from the equestrian collection, and again, I just really wasn't going out that much, so I didn't really have that much opportunity to wear it. And then the final category is shoes, and my most worn shoes ended up being a tie between 2 different shoes, both in black. One as my winter shoe, one as my summer shoe, 15 uses each, and that's going to be my C by Chloe black boots that I absolutely love and adore. They are fantastic. I highly recommend them. And my Valentino all black rock stud sandals. Again, another great sandal that I definitely highly recommend. And so that's everything on my most used list for 2025. Like I said, this has been a bit of an odd year for me with using luxury. I definitely want to focus next year on wearing more of my luxury clothing and shoes. They were a bit neglected this year. That being said, I also have some bags that have been a bit neglected, and so I'm going to get into that in another video where I talk about my least used luxury items of 2025. With that, I hope you have a great rest of your day, everybody. Bye!